Welcome, stranger. It occurs to me that I haven't really talked about the Mercer effect on this channel. Because I didn't really think there was much need. I didn't think it was such a big deal as a lot of people were making out of it. But I'm seeing with increasing frequency posts from people on social media and forums and so on with a great deal of angst and worry that they can't measure up to the kind of polished, edited, scripted production that is live-streamed role-playing games of the ilk of Critical Role and a few other leading examples. See, I never understood why anyone would compare themselves to that, but I think there has been a positive effect from Critical Role and similar in bringing new people into the hobby, showcasing it to others, triggering people's nostalgia, bringing them back to the hobby, and so on. And as a result, a lot of people for whom Critical Role is their primary exposure to role-playing games, I guess they think that that's how they're supposed to be run. Back in the day, if you were lucky, you got inducted into a group, and your experience of play would be directly through play with that group, or you would be forced to kind of figure it out for yourself from the books and the examples of play as written and so on. So where you didn't used to have this one unified idea of what a game was supposed to be like, now Critical Role and similar, and some of the not quite accurate representations of gaming on television and so on as it's become more popular, these seem to have provided a common touchstone for people of what they expect games to be like, how they expect them to be run, and a benchmark against which a lot of games masters and dungeon masters are comparing themselves. And you shouldn't. I mean, you wouldn't expect your local amateur dramatics company to put on a show with thousands of extras and an orchestral score and all the rest of it. So why would you expect your humble little group of stoners to put on a show to the same extent that something like Critical Role is? And most people aren't streaming their games. And there's plenty of people streaming games that aren't this whole production and song and dance as well. You can go and watch them for a better idea of what a session is actually like. It's less watchable, but it's more teachable, I guess would be the way to put it. But don't compare yourself to this. You're probably not a voice actor. You're probably not a C-list celebrity invited on to one of these shows. You're probably just someone normal and ordinary who happens to be interested in fantasy and games and so on. Your strength may be something that they don't show. Maybe you have a flair for description. Maybe you create really nice handouts. Maybe you pay a lot of attention to the characterization and the thought process and you create well-rounded NPCs. Maybe you are able to conjure a reactive world that reacts to what the players do in an interesting and plausible way. There's all sorts of things that might be your strength that aren't present in Critical Role and similar shows. So you got to play to those strengths, you got to value those strengths, and your audience is primarily going to be your friends around the table, who are likely to be more forgiving than the audience of Critical Role would be in terms of quality and so on, and just there to have a laugh. So stop comparing yourself to them. Raid them for tips or whatever, but no one is necessarily expecting you to put on a voice for the gruff orc guard
or the pixie barmaid
or whatever it might be. Nobody is necessarily expecting you to have a massive table and special cameras and laser pointers and all kinds of terrain and miniatures and so on. Often the best RPGs take place entirely in your head, imagining what's going on, imagining the scene, imagining the relationship between the different characters and so on. So find your strength, play up to that. Don't compare yourself to these things, but steal ideas that you can do and things you think would improve your game. But it's all DIY, and it's not really a performance. It's a cooperation between you as the games master, them as the players, and you'll find your own equilibrium and what you all enjoy. And that's what makes the hobby so great. It's always DIY. It's always adaptable. You can always change things and do things differently, play to your strengths, avoid your weaknesses, and make the best damn game that you can, and people will appreciate you for it. Zang. Postmortem Studios, role-playing games, and a lot more to die for. post-mort.com